Ever since I was a child, I have always experienced weird, weird, unexplainable paranormal shit. Even up until now, I'm 23 years old. I still experience weird shit. Even just today. Just today, I experienced, laying in my bed, taking a nap, right? And then the moment I start getting really, really comfortable, I start hearing voices, like clear, vivid, voices in my ear. A few days ago, I heard a fucking growl right in my face, right here in this bed. Literally just a few days ago. This happens to me all the time, and it's only when I'm in bed trying to relax. I'm telling you, ever since I was a kid, it's like something's followed me. It's legit like something has followed me from, I don't know. I know the house that I grew up in, right, was in a very ghetto area. And yeah, a lot of bad energy in that house and just the whole area. One time there was a shooting right in front of my house when we got back from going to San Francisco. So yeah, my dad, it was crazy. Me and my sister, we were little, right? I might have been around 9 or 10 years old when this happened, but my dad took us out to San Francisco, and when we came back home, right, he stayed in the garage for a bit. Me and my sister came inside. She went into her room. I went into my dad's room to use his bathroom. As I came out of the bathroom, my dad came running in, freaking out, "Yo, get down, get down!" And we're like, "What the hell's going on?" And he said 2 cars pulled up right in front of our house, and then 2 guys, stepped out of the car, pulled out some pistols, and started shooting at each other right in front of our house. And then that's when my dad, he was in the garage when he witnessed that. And then that's when he came in, running into the house, telling us to get down and shit. So that's the area that I grew up in. That is the type of environment that I grew up in. So obviously a lot of bad, negative energy, So from the very fucking beginning, the very first, paranormal experience I've ever had in that house specifically, I was around 8 or 9 years old, right? And I would, this happened every day, on a daily basis. Hang on. Shit. Alright. So, back to the story. Spencer's looking at me all weird and shit, but yeah. So, back to the story. Every day, when I would come home from school, it would be me and my sister home alone, because my dad would still be at work. So my great grandparents were the ones that would pick us up from school, and they live down the street from our house, and they still live there to this day. So they would pick us up from school. We, you know, my grandma, make us some food. We'd hang out there for like an hour or so, and then since she was like right down the street, we would just walk back to our house, and then soon after that, my dad would come home. My parents were divorced, so it was my dad's house. But I would walk home from my great grandparents' house after school. I would be in the living room doing my homework, right? Mind you, it's still like broad daylight outside, so I would be in the living room doing my homework. My sister would be in her room, and I would be I was on the floor doing my homework on a little table, and I was facing the window where you can see the front yard and shit. And every single day when I would be sitting there doing my homework, I would look up at the window and I would see what looked like a woman, like full body, like I saw this shit clear as day. A woman, but she had no skin. Like all of her skin was just peeled off, and it was nothing but just red, bloody, exposed flesh, exposed teeth, eyes are bulging and everything. Her hair was yellow too. Didn't even look like it was hair. Her hair looked like it was like fleshy or just like super oily and shit, but it was yellow too. And I would see that lady outside the window just like zoom by hella fast. Like she wasn't looking at me, she was facing that direction, but like she would be standing up straight, and it was as if she was just hovering, just zooming by the window hella fast. But I was able to get a good clear look at how she looked. Man, she was hideous. And every time I would see that, I would be frozen in fear. And in our living room, we had like a little computer room next to the living room that was away from any windows. So like I would sit there, be frozen in fear for like a few seconds at like what the fuck I just saw, and then I would just bolt up and like run to the computer room and just sit there and cower and just be hella scared that I would see her again, which I did continue to see her again up until about when I entered 3rd grade. That's when I stopped seeing her, and I've never seen her again ever since, which I am grateful for. I don't want to see her again because oh my god, just petrified. I was just petrified every time I saw her, and I'm sure I still would be even if I saw her again, which I really don't want to see her again. So that was the first experience that I remember when I was really young. I even remember times when this was around the time when I was seeing that demon lady outside the window. I would be laying in bed trying to go to sleep, and I would feel like a hand pushing down on my pillow. Like my head even went down with it too. Like something, like something was behind my bed, and it was like pushing down on my pillow. I would like, you know, the first time that happened, this was around the same time when I was seeing that demon lady. So when I felt that shit, pushing down on my pillow, I thought it was the lady, which maybe it was. I never saw her inside the house. Thank fucking God. But, I fucking got up. I ran to the living room, which my dad was watching TV and shit. Told him I was scared. Luckily my dad has always been chill and understanding, so he kind of comforted me and shit and told me everything was fine. I've experienced a lot of sleep paralysis in that house. I remember this one time when I was having sleep paralysis. This is like the first sleep paralysis experience that I ever remember. This one's really freaky. So I was dreaming that I was in a car with my great grandma, and we were in this neighborhood at nighttime, right? We're just talking like normal, whatever. And like there's like some people, like this, the people that are walking around in the neighborhood, they were acting strange, like as if they were not human, and me and my great grandma were in the car, like, oh, what's wrong with these people, like they did not seem like they were human. Best way I can describe it. All of a sudden, I feel her face, like she pushed her face up against my cheek, and then just smiled, like I felt her teeth like on my cheek as she's smiling, and I realized, oh shit, this is not my grandma. What the fuck? And then the moment that happened, I went into sleep paralysis, and I was just horrified. Man, I have countless sleep paralysis stories that are just absolutely horrific and terrifying. Oh my God. And it all started in that house. And so I lived in that house for like 15 years. And then we got evicted because we never owned the house. We were just renting it. So we found another house on the marina. Man, this is where shit gets crazier. When we got evicted from that first house and moved into this new house that was on the water, it was downtown, it was on the marina and shit, a nice little dock. Because it was nice. It was a nice ass house, right? I swear to God, this house had more activity than the other house. This house was crazier, and I honestly believe out of all the houses we've ever lived in, right? This one on the marina was the craziest as far as like paranormal activity goes. Because oh my god, this house. When we first moved in, right, everything was cool, And then one day, right, me and my little brother, we were staying the night at our grandparents' house. And then the next day when we came back, it was my dad, my stepmom, two of my sisters. My dad was telling me that they all woke up around in midnight, and they all heard what sounded like people downstairs, just like being hella loud, moving shit around. You know, they all heard that. And so my dad went downstairs to check. Nobody down there. Nobody. Alright. And then another time when I was also staying the night at my grandparents' house again, right, this time it was just my dad and my other brother, right, in the house. And the next day when I came back to the house after staying with my grandparents, my dad told me that him and my little brother woke up maybe around like 5 or 6 a.m. and they both heard someone downstairs just pounding on the walls, like I'm talking like pounding on the walls downstairs, right? And again, my dad went downstairs to check. Nothing. Nobody down there. You want to know what's even crazier too? It was so loud, the neighbor next door heard it. Because later that morning when my dad was doing, just cleaning up around the house, the next door neighbor, came and knocked on the door and asked my dad, "Hey, was that you making all that noise early in the morning, all that banging?" And my dad told him, like, "Nah, we were asleep. We heard it too." So the neighbor even heard that shit. And you gotta, I forgot to mention too, this community, this neighborhood, the houses were like one wall apart, So it's not like a normal neighborhood where the houses are like individual, separated and shit. No, these houses were like one wall apart. So the next door neighbors was like literally the next wall over, So, and then my personal experiences in that house, of course, they all had to happen when I was alone. So the first time I experienced some weird shit in that marina house, it was at nighttime. My sister was out. My dad and my stepmom, they were out having, dinner together. I was home alone. And I was downstairs watching some YouTube, right? I was watching some fucking McJuggernuggets, And then all of a sudden, I hear from upstairs, one of the toilets start making that draining sound. You know how when, like, after you flush it and it starts to refill with water again? That's the sound I heard from, like, one of the bathrooms upstairs. And then after I heard that, it was followed by these loud footsteps coming, like, stomping down the stairs. Like, I heard the toilet going off, and then fucking, like, these heavy footsteps, like slowly coming down the stairs. I legit thought somebody broke in the house. I went into, like, the closet, and I grabbed my dad's, like, big ass sword that he has, and I was, like, ready to fucking chop somebody up. But no, I was hearing those, like, those loud heavy footsteps coming down the stairs. I legit thought somebody was in the house. But dude, and then they just stopped. And I went up there with the sword, just like fucking fight or flight mode. There was nobody. There was absolutely nobody. I was so fucking freaked out. And then this other time that I was also home alone, This was after school. I came home after school, you know, and the dining table was right below the staircase. So the stairs, it was like one of those stairs where it goes up halfway and then it goes up this way, and then right above the stairs was my room. So I was down below at the dining table, just kind of chilling, you know. And then I heard from my room upstairs the loudest crash. I mean, it sounded like I have a big ass dresser right here, you know. Oh, I scared Spencer. But it legit sounded like my big dresser just like got flown across the room. It was loud. It was such a loud crash coming from upstairs in my room. And immediately I fucking just panicked. I grabbed my phone and I didn't even go upstairs. I booked it outside the front door. I called my mom. I told her what happened and I asked her if she could come pick me up, because like, yo, I just heard a super loud crash coming from my room and I'm home alone. I don't know what that, bro, like that was a ghost. So you know, she came to pick me up. The whole time, while she was on her way to come pick me up, I was standing outside on the driveway, just like, I am not going inside that house until she comes here, and we're gonna go check my room, right? So about 20 minutes later, as I'm, you know, standing outside on the fucking driveway the whole time, she finally comes. We go inside the house. We go upstairs to check in my room to see what that loud ass crash was. Nothing, bro. I mean, my room was clean, just the way I had it. And we're just looking at each other like, what the, like, I was super fucking confused. I'm like, what the fuck was that loud crash? I mean, I was expecting to see my fucking dresser on the floor in pieces. But no. There was nothing. It was like the sound just came out of thin air. And still to this day, I mean, sure, it could be because we were on the water. My grandma, you know, we explained, you know, the crazy activity we were experiencing in that house to my grandma, and she kind of told us that maybe, you know, it is probably because we're on the water, sound, you know, kind of carries sound and shit. But, dude, I mean, I just don't know what to fucking say. That there was just too much crazy shit going on in that house. I would even feel things touching me. Yeah. There were also a lot of centipedes in that house, you know. But, yeah. I you know, that's kind of, and then we lived in that house for about like a year. Yeah. Or like 2 years. So, but yeah, we just kept on hearing crazy ass noises in that house all the time. And then we got evicted from that house again and moved to another house. You know, I'll save that story for another video. But yeah, the next house we moved into after that, more shit going on. So I'm gonna wrap this video up. I'm gonna talk more about the other house in the next video. So deuces.